welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, which you probably are, I think this is only episode 3. Thanks for coming back. I am Sarah and I am here to talk about books. And specifically, today's video is going to focus in on my January reading wrap up and my sort of TBR. I'll explain all that here in a second. So in January, I read 18 books. And the first 7 were a part of the Addicted to You / Calloway Sisters series. If you have not heard of that, I've been hearing about it for a while now, and I finally started this series back in December. I read the first 3 books and then I finished the series, so I just read straight through the first part of January, and I really enjoyed that series. These characters, I feel like, are my friends, and I just want to give each of them a huge hug. Really enjoyed this series. So getting into my first read, this was book 4 of the series. So just taking a step back, explaining the series a little bit more. The first, or how you should read it, how I was told to read it, is in the publication order. And you can read them as 2 separate series if you don't want to read 10 books. But if you did want to read and get immersed in the entire found family, then they suggest reading the first 3 books, which again I read back in December. And those 3 books are the introduction to the 2 characters, Lily and Lo. And then as you're getting immersed into their story, the 2 main characters, Lily and Lo. Lily is our FMC, Lo is our MMC. Lily and Lo are addicts. Lily is a sex addict and Lo is an alcoholic, and they start off as friends, and it's the fake dating trope there for a little while, and then they try to explore helping each other out with their addictions while, hey, I actually really like you. So the 3 books kind of go through that, and they're trying to hide all of this from their family and friends as well. And throughout all of this, as you're going through that story and their ups and downs, you start to also be introduced to specifically Lily's sisters, she has 4 total. The oldest one, and now I can't remember her name. They're all named after flowers, but Lily has 2 older sisters. I can't remember the oldest one, and then Rose, and then it's Lily, and then Daisy is the youngest one. So you get introduced to all of her sisters, but specifically Rose and Daisy in those 3 books. And then after those first 3 books, then you jump into the Calloway sisters. And so that was my first read of January, which was diving into Rose and Connor's story, Kiss the Sky. And I loved how each sister was so different, and I feel like someone can relate to one of these groups of people, or one of these couples. So 3 main couples, and Rose and Connor are the brilliant, push each other to be their best self. I really, really liked their story, and I really, really liked them. I related to Rose in terms of I am the oldest in my family, and so her being just the protective mama bear, I really related to. And so Kiss the Sky is Rose and Connor's story, how they got together and their connection with the other 2 couples as well, and those growing relationships. And let's see, Kiss the Sky, I rated 4 stars. So that one, again, I don't know how to get into details without ruining the entire story, but I did like their story overall. And then my second book of January was Hot House Flower, which is now the youngest sister's story, her and Reik's story. They are my favorite in the series. Reik he's a grumpy sunshine, and he and there's an age gap here, which I'm not normally into age gaps, but this one somehow worked for me. But he is just one that would do anything for her, and I loved him. All of these individuals come from billionaire families, so they're out on boats and yachts and traveling around the world. So it's kind of fun to get to read about potential billionaire lifestyle as well. They all buy a house together eventually. So it's fun. It's fun to kind of live vicariously through them. Diving back into the Addicted series, or Lily and Lowe's story, my third book of January was Thrive, which is, I think this was my lowest rated one of the series, and it's pretty, like, I initially rated it 2.5 stars, which again, half of 5 is 2.5, so still good. The reason why I gave it so low is I just read Kiss the Sky and Hot House Flower, and Thrive was literally those 2 books. So if you don't read all 10 books, or you're not following the publication order, I just felt like I just reread the last 2 books, and I was like, why am I missing anything here? But if you're only going to read the Addicted series, I understand, you got to get their background to continue on. So that was why I gave that one of the lowest ones in the series. But then we continue on with their story and finish up with Lily and Lowe's story. So my next book after that was Addicted After All, and that was Lily and Lowe's final book, or final focused book. They're still in the rest of the series, but this was their final focus book. And this one I really did like. I rated 4 stars. I love their love. It's very unique, and they're just little nerds that love each other and love their family. And one thing I love about them is when Lily will just curl up under Lowe's shirt. Like, she will literally dive under his shirt and hide there if she gets too stimulated. And Lowe is her person. Lowe is her safe spot, and I just love that. Or he'll just hold on to her. She'll just literally wrap herself like a panda bear around him, either front or back, and it's just who they are. And I think that's so sweet, and I really did like their story. And then the next book after that, and in the publication order, is Fuel the Fire. This is back to Rose and Connor's story. Again, these are kind of the badasses of the group, and with them being so badass, so brilliant, so smart, this book actually frustrated me. And again, I don't want to give too much away, so let's just say that for individuals that were so smart, I thought their story, or what they decided to do in this story, was silly. And I just didn't think it was smart. Like, these people are so bright, so smart, and have worked so hard for everything that they did, and then they decide to do this, and this was the whole premise of this book and story. So it was slightly frustrating for me, but it still worked. I still rated it 3.75, almost 4 stars. And then we got into wrapping up Daisy and Reich's story in The Long Way Down. And again, this is the 9th book in the series. This one was my highest rated one in the series itself, at 4.5 stars. I just absolutely love Reich. Reich is my man. I love Daisy and her outgoing spirit, her F it kind of attitude and free spirit. Like, they're completely opposite, but they complement each other so well. And what he does for her, I love him. And this book, I have read a lot of books. I've read some gut-wrenching books as well, including some Christian Hannah books. And while my eyes will tear up, it is very hard to make me cry. And this one made me cry. Tears down my face. And this one may just be hitting too close to home. Reich is an outdoorsy climber, hiker kind of guy, and so is my husband. And just some of the stuff that went down in this book, I was maybe thinking a little too deeply and too close to home. So maybe that's why it made me cry. But I loved it. And then the epilogue, I didn't want it to end. I wanted to go back and reread everything again after I read that epilogue. And I wanted more, and I got more. So book 10 in the series, Some Kind of Perfect. In the epilogue of Long Way Down, you jump 10 years into the future, or 10 years into there now. And the Some Kind of Perfect, the book Some Kind of Perfect, is literally the 10 years in between the last chapter and the epilogue. So it's a whole epilogue of a book, which was honestly really fun. And again, what these characters did for each other and what they did and had to do together was just, it was so good. I loved it. I really did. And I rated this one 4.5 stars as well. So it was 20 years. That's what it was 20 years of their story. So between book 1, Addicted to You, and book 10, Some Kind of Perfect, you went through 20 years of their life together. It's a long time. So coming off of that and the contemporary romance, I thought I'd dive into a little bit of fantasy. So I read Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I think it's the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So it's a 3-book series: Once Upon a Broken Heart, The Ballad of Never After, and The Curse for True Love. These were good. So the first book I gave 3 stars, and I was looking over what I wrote about it, and I said that this was a superficial Nancy Drew romantasy. I mean, it was cute, but for me, this whole story just lacked a lot of depth. I felt like I was just being told this happened. But I still really enjoyed the story overall. I loved the atmosphere I was put in. I thought some of the plot was unique, but overall very predictable. I still read all 3 books. So the second book I rated, and each book got better for me too, which was, especially for like a YA, that's pretty unusual for me. Normally I'm done, I'll move on, but I kept reading and each book got better for me. So the second one I rated 3.5 stars, and I felt like in this one the plot picked up a lot more. We got a little bit more depth to the character, but still lacking overall for me. But overall, the plot started getting really good, and I really did want to know what happened. So after I finished book 2, I immediately had to jump into book 3, and that one I rated 3.75. So really good rating overall. And I really felt like with the main characters, the FMC and MMC, I finally was feeling a little bit more of that tension, and I got a little bit more depth. The plot was still really interesting and still had me turning the pages to figure out what was going to happen. But I overall wasn't sure. You got new POVs in this book that were a little random to me. But again, just overall, a little bit lack of depth, good time. So would I recommend the series? Yeah, I liked it. And this was fun. I was reading this while my in-laws were in town, and just to go do something fun, we decided to go see the ice castles here in Colorado. I'll put a little B-roll here. Getting to walk through those ice castles while I was reading this book, it made me feel like I was in a bit of a fantasy myself. So that was a lot of fun. And then while we were at the ice castles, they even had a little quest you can go on, and you got a reward at the end, and it was fun. I had a good time, and between reading that book and then having fun at the ice castles, I felt like I was enjoying the atmosphere a little bit more. Next read was my book club read for January, which was The Favorites by Lynn Fargo. And this was good. This was really good. I rated this 4 stars. It was one hell of a roller coaster, I'll tell you that. So this book is about a figure skating couple. Overall, the story was again over a very long span of time with these characters. So you started out and they're like 16 years old, and by the end of the book, I think they were around 40. And it's a lot. It is just about their drive, just wanting to win Olympic gold, and what they were willing to do to get there, between what they were willing to do for themselves, for each other, and everything in between. And the moment you thought one plot twist was wrapping up, there was a whole new one being thrown into the mix. So I just felt like I was getting whiplash over and over and over again. And while that was fun, and I read this in a day, this did keep me on my toes. I think that was one of the, I don't want to say complaints, but what knocked some of our ratings down was that it was a lot. It was a lot. When you think that one thing's done, we were thrown into a new conflict. So my book club overall, I think, rated it cumulatively a 4 star. So all of us still really enjoyed it. And I think the big question we all asked ourselves was, if you were put in that position of going through what the main character, the FMC, went through, and having that goal of winning gold, would you have done everything that this character did? So that was fun to ask. Okay, next book was Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. This is the first in a trilogy, and I rated this one 3.75. I did enjoy this, and I loved the atmosphere. I'm a very atmospheric person. I liked how much Leon fell for Ray, but it was still a little insta-lovey for me. I don't like insta-love. I need to understand and feel the why behind their love, feel the love, not just be told like she's hot, then they're in love. It doesn't work for me. So, but I thought the plot was good, was fun. Would I recommend this one? Yeah, depending on what mood you're in and what kind of atmosphere. I think it'd be fun in the fall for sure. My next books, I kind of fell into a reading slump after getting off the Addicted series. I kept thinking about those characters, and I just hadn't had a good, at least 4 and above star rating at this point, so I felt like I was kind of falling into a slump. And I just randomly came across K.M. Moranova, and this was, I think I was just scrolling through the library and it was available, the duet, which was Your Knife, My Heart, and My Blade, Your Back. And I had seen that her book, Leave Me Behind, was relatively big, I think last year, or I'd seen it a lot last year at least, but I hadn't seen the duology yet. So the duology was available right away at the library, so I picked that up. I had so much fun with this one, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it on audio because the guy's British and they do a good job, and I love me a good accent. So it was dual narration as well. Anytime the guy speaks or the MMC has a line, the guy would speak, even if it was in her chapter. So I loved that. The audiobook worked really well for me, but this was a fun story. When I read the synopsis of this one, I didn't really have any intrigue. It was pretty much, I think it said something about he's been known to kill his partners, and can she stay alive? It was something to that extent. And that's kind of how this book takes off. Is they are a part of the Dark Force covert military. Nobody knows about this group, and they're almost like ex-cons as well. And they're also being given this sort of medicine that makes them super soldiers, or they're testing it on these soldiers, and he's been the only one to really be able to tolerate the medication without dying. But the side effect is that he goes crazy and kills his partner, whoever he's partnered with. So our FMC, she ends up getting caught. Her family is almost like mafia, and she takes the fall for her family. And so in order to not go to prison, they send her to the Dark Forces, and is pretty much just, hey, you get your freedom if you can be this guy's partner and not die. And then you get your card and you get your freedom. And the story takes off from there. The first book reminded me the most of the Hunger Games. I am so sick of books saying, oh, Hunger Game-esque, and we get maybe like, it's just a few trials, but this one actually felt like I was reading something similar to the Hunger Games. So the Hunger Games is a good, in my opinion, a good way to explain this first book, because they have to go through training all over again, and you pretty much have to survive training in order to be a part of the Dark Forces, because they're only taking so many. And then book two, there is kind of its overlining story, and book two continues with the overlining story. And Em and Cam together, they were so good. Honestly, I've been thinking about this book and thinking about rereading it, because I see that it's available at the library again. I haven't reread a book this quickly before, but I've thought about picking this one up. First book, I rated 4.5 stars. Second book, well, I don't think I liked it as much as the first book. I don't know why I did this. I may go back and change my ratings. I rated the second book 5 stars because I rated it 5 stars almost as both books together. But I think I liked the first book slightly more, now that I'm thinking about it. I just had a good time, and I really, really, really enjoyed K.M. Mornova's writing in this as well, that I kind of fell down her rabbit hole of wanting to read more of her books. So the next book I picked up, Leave Me Behind. This book is also a part of the Dark Force series. I didn't like this one as much as the duet, and I'm really happy I read the duet first, because I don't think I would have read the duet having read this one first. I rated this one 3.5 stars, and this one, I love the environment. I loved the atmosphere. Again, I'm an atmospheric person, but this one was a little bit more on the FMC and MMC were a little bit more into the pain kink, almost bordering on non-con, and I don't know if that's my thing. So while I loved being back in this universe, and I appreciated Bones and Bunny at the end of the book, I just felt like this one was slightly more choppy than the duet. I did see that she published this one before the duet, so I'm thinking that maybe she's just progressed with her writing, but I still really enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed her so much that I went on to another book of hers after this one, and I am gonna try some of her other series for sure. So Leave Me Behind, 3.5 stars. All right, so my 16th book of the month was The Fabric of Our Souls by K.M. Mornova. I just kept on the K.M. Mornova train, and this is book 1 of the Harlow Sanctum series, and this one was interesting. It was definitely a complete flip from the Dark Force series or anything in the Dark Force. So this one is more of like a psychological trauma. It explores a little bit more on trauma and healing and just human connection overall. After we're following Wynn, who is a 26-year-old who is suffering from a literal and emotional heart condition, and she tries to herself and her brother helps her into a sanctum to help her through all of this. And here you follow her journey with our MMC, Liam, and he has a lot going on himself, and then she also connects with some of the residents, and then there's a little bit of a mystery going on in the background, so they're all kind of working together as well. But it was interesting, and again, her writing has been unique and has drawn me in, that I did continue on with book 2 later on in February. But this one I did like, and I rated 3.75. So good rating overall. Just very different than what I came off of with the Dark Force series. So just, I guess, know that going in if you're gonna follow Cam Warrenova herself. And then my last book of January was Roots of Darkness. This is the novella in the Ashen series, and I was getting ready for the 3rd book in the series to come out in February, and this one was so much fun. I loved it, and this was Hekla's story, if you're following along in the Ashen series, and she is just a strong, badass FMC, so I really liked getting to see her POV and her story and also get to see what's happening with the crew, because we've been following our main FMC and main male and MMC in the Ashen series, and they get split up from the crew, so we actually get to see what's happening with the crew in the novella. I was a little hesitant to read this, I don't know why. Like, yes, I cared what was going on, but I love Demi Winters. She did a great job. I loved the narrator in this book as well. I listened to this one on audio. But Hekla's story, she continues to be a badass, and I'm really excited to get into the 3rd book in the series and hopefully see them all come back together. That was my January reading wrap up. So my TBR for February was I wanted something to continue with the winter theme of February. So I wanted a winter book, I wanted a hockey book, and I wanted obviously romance, because we're in February and it's Valentine's Day. And then also my book club. So I had 4 on my TBR, and the ones I ended up picking for my TBR is Can't Fix Cupid by Raven Kennedy for my Valentine's read. For the hockey winter theme, I chose Beartown because I've heard great things about Frederick Bachman Bachman. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then to continue on with the Winter Olympic theme, and I really enjoyed ice skating during the Winter Olympics, I chose From Luke Off with Love by Mariana Zapata, because I really she does tension really well for me, and I'm okay that it takes an entire book for them to finally hook up, because that's what keeps me turning the pages, is that tension. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And then my book club book that was chosen this month for the month of February is Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. And so I'm hoping to get to all of those and more, but those were the main ones for the month of February that I wanted to hit. Let me know what you thought of my January reading wrap up and what you thought of any of those books, if you've read any of them or if you are planning on reading any of them. And I look forward to doing my February reading wrap up here with you soon, because I know I am way behind, but I'm quickly catching up. So thank you if you have made it this far in the video, and please like, subscribe, follow along, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon.